This is lesson 2 in the graphs unit for Workplace Math 10. We're looking at bar graphs and pictographs today. So you want to use a bar graph or a pictograph when you are comparing data across categories. And we'll look at lots of examples. So in the last lesson, we looked at data over time. This is different. This is looking at data in different discrete categories. So it's great for comparing groups. Pictographs are good if it's easy to represent the graphs in pictures. Usually you would create those digitally. Okay, so let's have a look here at some examples. So first we have this attendance graph, and there is times at the bottom, but notice they're in different categories. So it's like discrete numbers or discrete times. Okay, so 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and so on. And we have number of people that have attended the aquarium. So because this is time, data over time, we could use a line graph to represent this, or we could use a pictograph. What's the busiest time of the day? Okay, 1 p.m. looks like it has the highest number of people at, so this graph is going up by 50. 350. So this point here would be at 450 people. So at 1 p.m., we have about 450 people. What is the average number of people at the aquarium? Okay, so let's look at each data point, and this is a good connection to the last unit where we learned to calculate averages. So at 9 a.m. and 150, then I had 200, and here 300, 400, 450, and then back to 400. So I'm going to add up all those numbers and then divide by the total number of data points, which is 6. So I'm going to go 150 plus 200 plus 300 plus 400 plus 450 plus 400. So that is, let's just use a calculator just in case to make sure my answer is correct. I was going to do it in my head, but I thought I would just be careful. 700 plus 850. Just combining a couple as I type them in. Okay. 1900, and we're going to divide this by 6. We get about 317. So on average, there's about 317 people inside the aquarium. Okay, let's look at a pictograph. So that's a bar graph. Here's a pictograph. It says showing the number of donuts purchased at a donut shop. So we've got strawberry in the different categories, right? We see on the bottom, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, lemon. And then there's usually a key with a pictograph. So in this key, it's saying that one donut represents 5 donuts actually, so that you don't have too many pictures of donuts to count. It makes it easier to count. So question A, what other type of graph could be used to display the data? We could use a bar graph, not a line graph because there's no time involved here. But we could use a bar graph instead because we have categories. We could also use a circle graph as well, which we'll see in the next lesson. That's also great for comparing across categories. Which donut is the most popular? So the most popular is the one that has the most donuts. So strawberry. And that's why pictographs are great. You can kind of see things quickly. You can see patterns and trends really quickly just by looking at the picture. And then lemon is the least popular. What's the total number of donuts purchased? So every picture here represents 5 donuts. So I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And each one represents 5. So that means 75 donuts were purchased. Okay, let's look at an example. Let's make one. Okay, so we're going to make a 2 different graphs for the same data set to kind of see the difference. Okay, so the table is going to show the average number of participants per day for each fitness class offered at a local gym. Display the data in a bar graph and a pictograph. So we talked about this last time, but really important when we're making a graph is to include a title and labels and then accurate and consistent scaling on our graph. So let's give this a title. So we're talking about fitness class attendance. So let's just write that first. Fitness class. So across the bottom, we're going to put the different categories. So we've got yoga, spin, HIIT, and Pilates. Same here, yoga, spin, HIIT. Oop, I spelled that wrong. Pilates. Okay, let's do the the pictograph first. So for pictograph, we're going to represent everything in pictures. Now it's important to look at the data set and see what we want to use for our legend here. So 30, 40, 50, and 20, those are conveniently all in powers or multiples of 10. So it'd be, so I don't have to draw too many pictures. It might make sense to count by 10 here. I'm not the best drawer, to be honest, so I'm going to try my best to do this. So yoga had 30 participants. So I'm just going to draw 30 of these dumbbells. Actually, I'm going to draw that better. Now, one thing that's really important is to keep the sizing consistent. So I'm going to try my best to do that. So I'm going to do 3 dumbbells. 1, 2, 3. Okay. For spin, we had 40. So I'm going to actually just see if I can do a little shortcut. Copy. And then I'm going to try to do a paste. Yes. And then I'm going to try and move that. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to do 4 of those. So I'm going to add 1. Okay, and then for HIIT, I'm going to try that little trick again and just copy and paste. There we go. Oh, some of it didn't get copied. That's okay. I'll just add it in. Now, pictographs are great if you're a good drawer or if you have a digital program that'll help you do the drawings more consistently. Okay, and then Pilates had 20, so I'm just going to copy 2. And then move those over. There we go. Okay, oops. All right, so now I've got my, I'm just going to erase this one here because it got a little funky. There we go. So I've got my spin class here. We can see the most popular and the least popular right away from this data set just by looking at the pictures, right? The most popular is HIIT, the least popular is Pilates. Let's make a bar graph. So I want to make sure I choose to go up by something. So participants is going to be here. And remember, we always want to start our scale at 0. So we want to make sure we get up to 50. That's the maximum number. So I'm going to go up by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 40, 50. And so let's make sure, and you should use a ruler for this. Let's see if I can do a bar like this. This might be better. It's just not the most accurate, but that's okay. 30. I'm going to see if I can move that. There we go. Actually, that's not bad. There, and I want to make sure it goes exactly to 30. Sometimes it's nice also to like shade it in so it's easy to kind of read and see. So I'm going to do that with a highlighter. Okay, so spin now we have 40. So I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to use so you can be using oops, I've used my highlighter tool here. Let's do it with the pen. So that's the only reason I don't like this tool, is because it's not the easiest to get like in the accurate spot. The accurate width either. I'll just do my best. There we go. Okay. And then 50 for hit. Personally, if I'm actually creating the graph by hand, I much prefer to make a bar graph, just because I don't love, oh, I did the same mistake again. There we go. Okay. Going to 50 this time. You want to make sure your bars all are spaced evenly and have consistent width. That's really important, so that one doesn't look kind of more important than the other ones, and you can compare them more easily. If they're all different widths, it's harder to kind of compare just upon first glance. And very last, Pilates at only 20 participants. There we go. All right. There we go. So there's our bar graph. So we have just double checking all the different features of our graphs. We've got a title for both. Just realizing I'm a little bit further over than I should be. There we go. We've got a title for both. We've got labels. We've got consistent size pictures and bars. And so our graphs look pretty good. And they show the same trends, right? We can see easily from the picture that HIIT is the most popular, Pilates is the least popular.